Hey everyone, welcome to the Melanated Skin Registry. I'm Tamara Jones, and this is a conversation I've been really excited to bring you. With me today is Cynthia Johnson, cosmetic chemist, formulator, and the founder of Cindy J Cosmetic Labs out of Baltimore. She's a Green Star Award winner. She's been featured in Harper's Bazaar, and she's one of the few Black women running her own formulation lab. The person behind the products, not just in front of them. And here's why this one matters. So much of skincare starts in the lab we never get to see. Cynthia lives by one rule: educate first, then formulate. And she won't put an ingredient in a product unless the data proves it works for melanin-rich skin. So we're getting into all of it. Cynthia, thank you so much for being here. Let's dive in. All right. Thank you so much for coming in today. We are so excited to have you. Cynthia Johnson from Cindy J Cosmetics. You wear many hats. You're a cosmetic chemist, a formulator, a founder, educator. So when you introduce yourself, which one feels most true to who you are?
Wow. Well, first off, let me start by saying thank you for having me, of course, on your platform. This is amazing. Everything that you're doing, everything that we've talked about, I definitely see you really taking this industry by storm. So I just wanted to put that out there first.
You. Trying to be like you, right? It's a team effort. It's an
Yes,
ecosystem.
yes,
Yes.
yes. But this is a really good question because, especially when it comes to like social media and different speaking engagements, people see like the good. They see, formulating in the laboratory, they see the education behind it. But I would say the title that really resonates with me is founder. And I would say serial entrepreneur as well, because there's so many different avenues, so many different sources of income as well when it pipes through Cindy J. And you really have to have balance. So in order to be a founder, that balance has to be an essential key part of your day-to-day life. So yes, formulating is great. That is my passion. That is my love, my first everything. And then when it comes to education, that's where I really got into content creating. I would say that is the newest type of title that I would say I have received. But the founder piece is really what resonates with myself. Again, the good, the bad, the ugly, going up and down the roller coaster of business, having faith in God, number one, is huge for me. So I would say just a faith-based founder, also serial entrepreneur.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
I mean, and it's hard to juggle and hard to balance all those things at one time. And what I heard you say more recently was the content creator. I
Yes.
mean,
Whew.
nope. So I just know that that's like a full time job in itself. And then
Yes.
to own a business and do the formulating and be the brains behind all of that is just hats off to you.
Thank
You have
you.
a lot of energy, and I
Thank
love
you.
it. I love
Whew.
it.
I receive that. I really do. I'm not afraid of telling people that my social battery is low,
Mhm.
because you have to be transparent with people, especially like even with clients. I'll let clients know like, hey, I'm here, but just give me a minute because we're trying to flush some things through with the business, personnel, hiring and things like that. So the energy is definitely needed when it comes to certain things, but definitely that social battery. I try not to charge it up too much because you can get tired. You can your energy can go up high and then go down low really quickly. So try to get that balance intact. But yes, content creating, whew, that is a monster within itself.
It really is. I'm proud of you. I'm happy for you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
great. Okay. So I read from you at 15, you said you were headed for the WNBA until a chemistry professor saw science in your future. So, how did that redirect happen? And when did you decide to build your own lab rather than work for someone else?
Yeah, so in high school, 15, sophomore, I attended Baltimore Polytechnic Institute, which is a very prestigious high school for both sports and academics. And, I always had this dream that I wanted to play professionally in basketball. I wanted to be also a Ravens cheerleader because I was a cheerleader as well. I always did the backflips on the team. Yes, very athletic childhood and early adulthood, I should say. And when my professor came up to me and said, "Hey, you're really good with math and chemistry. Have you ever thought about, getting into chemistry?" And right then and there, I said, absolutely not, because I want to play either overseas or I want to be a WNBA player. At the time, this is when, WNBA really wasn't getting the recognition that it is now today. And overseas was always like the focal point. It was always the ideal career for a basketball player. And I thought to myself, what could I do with chemistry? So he really helped me out through that. He said, "What are you really passionate about?" I told him my hair and my skin. I always had high self esteem with my skin and my hair. And he said, "You should really think, really look into what you can do with that." And sure enough, I looked into cosmetic science. As soon as I went on Google, said you can, focus on cosmetic science, cosmetic chemistry. And right then and there, I already knew I had to be a cosmetic chemist. I already knew it. It just was like God said, "Look, this is what you're supposed to be, now go after it." But still played basketball. I still played volleyball. I went to college and played basketball. I was a student athlete, did really well at Lincoln University, where I graduated from. But, with chemistry, again, that was still like on the back burner. It was still like, okay, it's there, but this is where I'm really focusing on for basketball. And then I did a tryout for overseas team and didn't make it. So instead of crying about it, instead of saying, "Hey, this my life is ending," or whatever the case may be, I said, "Nope, I have cosmetic chemistry. I have chemistry in my back pocket." And then after that, I said, "Yep, let's do it. Let's figure out how I can be a cosmetic chemist." And the turning point of actually owning my own business, I became an independent business owner through a multi-level marketing company called ACN. And that's where they really invested that business resource, business mentality, business education in me. And I say, yep, we have to own a laboratory. We definitely have to do it. Now, that doesn't mean own a laboratory as soon as you graduate. That means to learn from other companies, actually work in the industry, learn how the ins and outs of contract manufacturing, the ins and outs of a research and development laboratory, and then, branch off on your own.
Love it. Everything I heard, like translated to the next. So when you started with the sports, which I understand, I was an athlete. I
Mm-hmm.
got burned out pretty fast. So good for you. That's why you have the energy you have. You are in shape. You're back flipping. You're
Yeah,
dribbling down the court. What position did you play in basketball?
I played 1, 2, and 3, the point guard,
Okay.
guard, and small forward.
Look at you. Yeah. Cheerleading, basketball, you said volleyball. I love it. So that's the energy. The other part that I heard was HBCU. I heard skincare. So I see so many things that are multifaceted that also contributed to where you are. And even still, like how the confidence, first of all,
Mm-hmm.
then the skincare, the hair care, then going to an HBCU. I love how all of that connected you, and that's where you are today, and that's where your passion is now, especially formulating mostly. I'm not going to say all of your formulas are for Black skin, but most likely, most of your clientele are dealing with melanin-rich skin. So I think that's fabulous. That's a great story. I love that.
Thank you. Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Okay, so let's talk about the lab. For readers who've never seen inside of a formulation lab, what does a contract R&D, so research and development lab like Cindy J actually do? And
Mm-hmm.
what does educate first, then formulate mean in practice?
Wow. So that's a heavy question because some people really do not know what it takes to either build a laboratory or to enter into a lab and not feel overwhelmed. And that is something that I made sure that the laboratory did not resonate. I did not want people to come in feeling overwhelmed. I wanted their eyes to get big. I wanted them to feel like they were in school again, having fun with their friends, being homey. I mean, if you see behind me, there's a grass wall with a couch. So like things like that, I said, yeah, I have to make it as comfortable as possible. And not just for myself and my clients, but also for my employees as well. If I always tell my junior cosmetic chemists, look, if you need to take a break for a second, go sit on the couch and just take a rest, do whatever you need to do. And I learned some of those things from a young lady who worked at Google, because they have all these different resting pods and they have like a pool and some other things going on. I said, oh, when I have my own contract manufacturer, we're definitely building some fun activities around that. But it really just helps with the camaraderie of, or the energy of the laboratory. So when someone does walk in, of course, they'll see the brightness, they'll see the pink, they'll see, different ingredients that are around the laboratory. So from a day to day, our day to day changes every day, every single day. So I would say, from a junior cosmetic chemist perspective, she's usually on her computer to see what project she has to fulfill for the day or even for the week, so she can plan out her week. And maybe, take a look at some ingredients that we either have in the laboratory or we need to purchase or sample from raw material suppliers. And then after she feels as okay, we have everything we need, she would head right on over to the laboratory bench, and then she'll be able to formulate those products for our clients. And with that, that comes with, really closely observing, how the ingredients interact with each other, and not just from an end result, but also throughout the process, because we want to make sure a manufacturer understands that what we create at the lab bench, they'll be able to replicate on the manufacturing floor. So she's, making sure she's capturing those observations, testing those observations. So when it comes to pH, of course, with melanated rich skin, we have to be very cognizant of our pH. We have to be cognizant of viscosity when it comes to developing. A product may look a little different in Miami at this climate right now as opposed to somewhere like Boston in the winter. So we had to really be cognizant of those different qualitative and quantitative observations. When it comes to being a founder, I'm dipping into so many different things, and I try to balance my time by maybe doing like the first hour and a half focusing on this niche, and then the next hour focusing on the next one. We have a huge expo coming up October 3rd, so that's taking up a lot of my time, but I have to make sure I balance it throughout. So it's not just running the business when it comes to formulation, but it's also with grant initiatives, with partnerships, with new clients, existing clients, and also our event, again, the Cindy J Expo on October 3rd.
That's exciting. That's a lot happening in that lab.
Yes, it is.
But I love the balance too, right? Like, you guys are working really hard. Like you said before, you adopted some practices from Google where you also learn to take breaks, have fun. It's all about that balance. But I love how rigorous the work is, and then also all that comes from it. Like you said, the event, that's very exciting because you're putting a lot of people on display. You got a lot of networking going,
Yes.
the research and development part, and then the grants, like that's super important too, to continue further in research and all of that type of stuff. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect. So, okay, let me get comfortable. Because this one is, all the questions I think are really good. I want everybody to know how important a chemist is. People talk about skincare, but they forget, where do the ingredients, where does the product come from that's on your counter, that's in the esthetician room, that's in the dermatologist's office. Like, you guys are so important. Basically, the foundation of the ecosystem of skincare. That's what I'll say. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the reason that I like this question is for anyone that's looking to start a skincare line, or just very curious about how it all works. So let's talk about it. Walk us through how a product really comes to life from a founder's idea to a finished, stable, market-ready formula. What stages do people not realize exist?
Ooh, that's a good one too. So from start to finish, we always break our product development process into 5 stages. So we have our first stage where we've done the consultation. Let's say we've already talked through the consultation phase where you've really express what you want this product to look like. How do you want it to affect, your consumers, your target audience, and really why are you in this business? We have to first establish that. And that why is really going to help our laboratory with creating this product. Because if you're telling me that you are looking to reduce, let's say, reduce the microplastics that are out there, and you want more natural alternatives, we know that, okay, this has to tell a story, with that natural alternative. So we need to understand the process behind you coming up with this brand and also this product. So with that, we will do our research. We will research ingredients. We will talk to different raw material suppliers. We will research the process, because each project has a different process for sure. And I think that's one thing that people really don't realize until we actually, transfer the property rights, which I'll get into. But the process piece is going to be very important, because again, manufacturers have to understand how to exactly make your product. And then also cost. We're going to talk about cost. How much does this cost per unit? What are you looking for as far as your retail price? What are you looking for your wholesale? How are the ingredients are going to affect your price? And then once we get over that phase, then we can get into the fun part, which is developing the products. And we have a time in here. I mean, we have the radio on, with the Pandora radio on, and we'll just have a great time just making the products. We'll bounce ideas off of each other if needed, and we're ready to go. We're ready to put, our clients' products into, just generic containers and send those containers out to our clients. And then the third phase, that is going to be the approval phase. That is where we put not pressure, but we put the focus on the client, because now the client has to let us know how they feel about the product. Is it approved right away, or do we need to tweak the formula? Is it too sticky? Is the color not right? Like, what is the exact moment where we have to say, okay, we have to change the formulation? And I would say that part right there is where we get a lot of clients that will say, wow, I didn't realize that this phase would either take this long, or I didn't realize that I needed more than what was already embedded in my mind. So for example, we had a client that created a shampoo, and it was a shampoo that was really tailored to, what was it tailored to? Tailored to type 3C4A combination. And it was really for type 4 hair, as far as that final formulation. And she didn't realize that she had a lot of relaxed hair consumers. So she didn't know how to market that. She didn't do a consumer evaluation test. So with that, I told her, during the process, let's do consumer evaluation. We can make, let's say, 20 samples, 30 samples, 40 samples to send out to your focus group. And then you can really determine if this is the best shampoo for your brand. So that part is where it's going to take a little bit longer than, hey, let me just approve the product. So that would be the approval phase. Once the formula is completely done, let's just say, as far as approving, let's just say there's no more tweaks, we don't need nothing else, let's move to the next step. The next step is the testing. That is going to be that longest part of the project. So we do stability testing in-house, and stability testing determines the shelf life of your project, of your product. Is my product stable in different environmental conditions? Does it drift in thickness? Does it drift in pH? What is the pH range? What is the specific gravity? How can I fill this in my containers? So all of those different things we are going to test for 3 months. That is a 3-month stability testing process. Now, some people may need extra testing. They may need the preservative testing, of course. They may need clinical testing, safety and efficacy. We can also help facilitate that project with a third-party laboratory or a third-party company. So that way, while we're doing stability testing, in parallel, the companies will be doing the preservative testing, clinical testing, whatever the case may be. Okay, so that is the fourth phase. The fifth and final phase is the property rights transfer. This is probably the best phase for the client, because they're like, you're doing all this work, but I need this formula. So now it's time to transfer all of the work that we have done as far as the final formulation, the stability reports, the process, the list of ingredients in descending order. We'll send that packet over to the client, and the client now owns their formulation.
Here's the thing. I know a lot of people like to make stuff from home, right? Okay. And I bring that up to say, someone that has an idea, let's just say it's somebody that believes in organic or natural and all that
Mm-hmm.
type of stuff. And they don't realize all the testing that goes into it.
Yeah.
But now they're trying to refine their formula and they come to you and they're like, it took me 5 minutes to make it at home. But no, you are guaranteeing that they can get on a shelf, it will be stable,
Mm-hmm.
that it goes through all the phases that it absolutely needs to go
Yes.
to be right, effective, and
Mm-hmm.
has efficacy.
Right.
So I just think that this particular question is so good because I'm sure there are a lot of skincare professionals. Even I know a lot of people make products that aren't even skincare professionals, but they are passionate about skin. Same thing with hair care. They've discovered an ingredient that they really like, or they have a formula or a certain like texture or feel or some type of result that they want. So I just feel like this question is just so critical. And the other thing that I want to point out is on your website, it
Mhm.
gives all of those steps, correct?
Yes.
So that people can see it.
Yes.
And your website is
It's cindyjlabs.com.
okay, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So that people can see the stages. And so we also don't want to tell them the time frame because it really can vary. So that's the part that people might see the stages in
Mm-hmm.
their mind. They might say, okay, in a few months, I'm going to be ready to go to market because it's fresh on
Right.
their mind, right? And you have to slow them down and say, hey, look,
Yeah.
we really can't even give you a real deadline because
Mm-hmm.
of all the things that you mentioned, as far
Right.
as like the ingredients and the sourcing and seeing how long it's going to take and
Mm-hmm.
the test, etc. But
Yeah.
I love that. I wanted to put emphasis on that one. I really did because people that go and buy the things don't even realize how much work
Mm-hmm.
and and time that goes into it. Is work, time, research, like it's all of those things. And my hat is off to the chemist doing the work behind the curtain
Right.
because without you guys, none of this stuff can actually come to life.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And I always tell my clients up front that, in potential clients, when we're in the consultation phase, to give yourself like an 8 month cushion, a 6 to 8 month cushion, realistically a 8 month cushion, because that way you'll be able to, do your testing, your stability testing, which is a standard 3 months for us. And then also the approval process. Remember the whole consumer evaluation piece. Some people may say, hey, I need a little bit more time so I can do consumer evaluation. So that may take an extra month. There's so many different factors that can go into product development. I mean, we've had clients where we were working on their project for probably for 2.5 years. And that was because, life happens. It
Oh, yeah.
does, on both ends. But we've had some people again that would say, hey, I need to do a consumer evaluation test on this group for this month, and then the next month do it on this group, and then stability testing may fail, so you have to go back and do the same testing. So there's so many factors that could really really go into this, and that's really if you are looking to have longevity, not something that's quick, that's saying, hey, just use this body butter for 2 months. And for us, it's more so, okay, the body butter is great, but is it effective when it comes to preservative testing? Is it effective when it comes to stability testing? We shouldn't be telling people to put their products in the fridge. I'm so against that. I am so when Sephora came out, I think Sephora came out with like that fridge thing that happened. I said, oh no, please no, because everyone's gonna put their products in the fridge and it may be unstable. And that is something where we're very, very strict when it comes to stability testing. If your product is not stable, we have to start that part of the process over.
That is such good information.
Yes.
I'm sure you have literally helped someone that was thinking, I'm gonna whip this up. No, you need
Right.
to pause. You need to talk to a professional. This is serious business. This is people's skin you're dealing with. So,
Right.
yes. Okay. All right. So, on to the next thing. You champion green chemistry and sustainability. What does that look like at the bench? And does formulating clean ever come at the cost of performance?
Ooh, loaded.
That's
So
loaded. Okay, yeah. It's so much balance, right? Like,
Exactly. But I love it though because this is the honest, transparent conversation that more chemists and brand founders should have together. So the first question of the green chemistry and sustainability, there is a huge shift in sustainability. And I think people are becoming more environmental conscious when it comes to different types of like packaging, when it comes to ingredients, overall hair health and biodegradability as well. I mean, there are ingredients out there that they're literally called upcycled ingredients. And upcycled is very new, but I feel like it's going to be so much bigger than what it is today. So with upcycling, I always tell people, think of like your orange peel. Let's say you're peeling your orange and you know that skin you throw away in the trash. Literally, manufacturers will take that peel and they will go ahead and manufacture it into and break it down into an extract form or into a powder form. So that way chemists like myself can use that ingredient in skincare or hair care products. So the upcycling is something that, could also help reduce waste that is out there. I mean, this world is nothing but waste. So if the cosmetic science world can do its part into helping reduce that waste, I would say go for it when it comes to sustainability. Now, when it comes to green chemistry does not necessarily mean something has to be all natural. There has to be, when it comes to green chemistry, we see it more as, derivatives from, certain natural or naturally derived ingredients. So, for example, you have synthetic products that are considered synthetic, but a part of that chemistry or a part of that process may have come from something green. So, that for me, green chemistry does implement that green like environmental conscious like ingredients into maybe an already made ingredient or an ingredient by itself. So we have a couple of ingredients that are blends. You have a blend of a synthetic product and a blend of your natural, let's say natural caffeine or cocoa peptide. You're creating that synergy so you can create an effective and stable ingredient. So when we created the green, was it the the strawberry cream cleanser with the strawberry seeds, we had different surfactants in there, or cleansing agents I should say, in there that was both derived from a synthetic ingredient and also a natural ingredient, and it still had a great green rating of, I believe the green rating was like 8.5 out of 10. So it's being environmentally conscious on the ingredients that you use, and that's what we want to do for our clients, our brand founders. We want people to feel like, okay, I can tell a story and help the next person either reduce waste or claim biodegradability or whatever the case may be. Use natural alternatives to some ingredients, but still be able to use that synthetic product or synthetic ingredient that can help with the efficacy of the product. Because again, just because something is natural doesn't mean that it works. So we want to make sure that that is also communicated as we are formulating. Now, the second part of clean beauty. You know how I feel about clean beauty. Like a lot of our chemist colleagues as well. Clean beauty is I don't want to say that it is dangerous. I want to say that it definitely spreads a lot of misinformation. And that goes back into the transparency behind brand founders as well. With brand founders, we try to communicate with them like, hey, yes, claim that you have natural alternatives or just alternatives in general to certain ingredients. So, for example, sulfates. Sulfates is so huge when it comes to being sulfate free. If you are going to claim something that is sulfate free, talk about the ingredient that is sulfate free. Don't down sulfates, because sulfates aren't bad. They aren't bad. You just have to formulate it correctly so it doesn't feel like it's drying or stripping of your natural oils. But talk about the ingredient that you claim is sulfate free. So, for example, there's a surfactant that is derived from shea butter. Instead of saying this product is sulfate free, talk about the benefits of a shea butter surfactant, a shea butter cleansing agent. That sounds so much more appealing than, downing another, ingredient, whatever the case may be. And then a lot of things with clean beauty, we look for scientific data. We look for scientific data, not only in the sense of the ingredients, but also in the sense of just testing. When it comes to testing, looking at the differences between its constituents or the difference between its alternatives, you really don't see some of these ingredients, you really don't see a difference in efficacy. You don't see a difference in safety as well. So why is it that it's banned? Because a group of people may have thought that, I had an allergic reaction from it or whatever the case may be. So clean beauty, I definitely see it dying down off a little bit. I'm starting to see it die down off a little bit. I don't even have a lot of clients that will say, hey, we're looking for clean beauty. I'll see a lot of like vegan. I'll see I want it to be USDA organic certified. We'll see that, but I have not seen a clean beauty certification in a while. Especially when it comes to Sephora Clean, Ulta Clean. It's like a lot of no-nos or bad ingredients that we can't use. But on the positive side, we keep our jobs because if someone does say, hey, I want clean beauty, that's fine. We'll formulate for you. But the most we can really do is educate. We can only educate you before we formulate the product.
I definitely learned something new. I love that. So I know, like you just talked about Sephora, Target, Ulta. I'm sure that they have their standards of what they want in clean beauty, and people do get hung up on certain ingredients. Like you said, the sulfates. Another one that when people watch this video, they're going to laugh because they know I'm a huge fan of Vaseline. So some people get so hung up on no petroleum, and I think that is so sad.
Yeah, it is. I love petroleum jelly. Give me petroleum jelly anytime.
We grew up on it, right? Like that's what we needed to keep our skin, to
Yes.
keep the moisture in.
Yes.
So I know personally, I remember years ago trying to be all natural and I didn't get anywhere. So I am definitely all about, if a product does work because it is clean, then great. But I care more about the product working.
Right.
And being effective. So I love how you broke that down. I know a lot of people just learned a lot from what you just said, honestly. And that is all about education because honestly, people writing the material on these ingredients are the writers. They're not always the chemists.
Right.
And even still, we don't even know how that chemist that's telling that writer or whatever the writer found out about it, how they're being influenced and why.
Right.
Because you never know if people are trying to push a certain ingredient or get away from a certain ingredient for whatever reason. We never know the agenda behind it. It's usually tied to money.
Right.
Not always danger, because there's a lot of danger out there that we participate in. But because it makes money, we're still doing it, right?
Right. Right.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So now down to the melanated part of the chemistry. Let's talk about this. So when you formulate specifically for melanin-rich skin, what actually changes in your approach versus a general market product?
Yeah, well, first off, we have to, when it comes to cosmetic chemistry, sometimes we try not to reinvent the wheel. We understand there's a lot of, different trends that are out there that, like, hey, from our suppliers, our raw material suppliers, hey, try out this new ingredient for, certain skin types. And when I'm formulating, I need to look at the data. And if you don't have data that targets melanated rich skin, I'm probably not going to use it. Now, if I already know the benefits of it and you come out with an ingredient that has that ingredient in like a blend, you had that certain ingredient in there. I'm like, okay, I can, waive off some of the data that you may not have because I already know that this particular ingredient works well with melanated rich skin. And then I can do my own research when it comes to the other ingredients in the blend. But typically, if there's a completely new product, completely new ingredient, and you're really trying to sell this ingredient from a raw material supplier standpoint, and you do not have the data, most likely we're not going to use it. And I can give you a great example. It wasn't really for melanated rich skin. It's more so for gray silver hair. And I have a client who has Grace Over Hair, and there's an ingredient out there from a raw material supplier who really wanted to push this ingredient. It was a violet ingredient, really wanted to push it. And I asked, well, do you have any data or studies on Grace Over Hair? And they said, no, we only have it on blonde hair. And I'm like, okay, I understand the dynamics between toning hair, that getting rid of that brassiness when it comes to Grace Over Hair, and also when it comes to blonde hair, they're really looking to tone, make it brighter. But it would be nice to have that data, targeting that specific hair type that we were looking for. But I see that a lot when it comes to, even hair, even with hair care. A lot of hair care brands that I'm starting to see are targeting your curly, coily hair types. And if we come across a raw material supplier that has this new ingredient and I don't see any curly, coily hair studies, we're most likely not going to use it. So I have to take that approach first, as a chemist. Now, when it comes to actually selecting the ingredients, that is all based on experience as well. So for like melanated-rich skin, I love using ingredients that, especially for skincare, like moisturizers, skincare, serums. I love a good ceramide complex. Ceramides, I think, are huge for melanated-rich skin. Niacinamide is my go-to. I know some chemists don't really care for niacinamide, but niacinamide, some niacinamide out there can be irritated, but you have to use the right niacinamide. There's a supplier that has a niacinamide that is 100% pure niacin. And with that ingredient, you will not get irritation. And we've done studies on that niacinamide across a few of our clients, and they always, every time, said that this product compared to this product with another type of niacinamide is not irritating. So having that, like that ingredient, I just love that ingredient. It just helps so much. Like, it doesn't whiten the skin. It just really helps with that dullness, the brightness, not so much, not the whiteness. Because I try to stay away from products that, promote skin whiteness. And even if a client comes to me and asks about skin whiteness, I say, look, you're going to have to go to my colleague for that, because I'm not a big fan of it. But when it comes to correction, like dark spot correction, that's different. That's a little bit different. Because like alpha arbutin, encapsulated alpha arbutin is huge with hyperpigmentation. Yes, it has some skin whitening claims, but when it comes to color correcting or dark spot correcting, that's different for me. I'm trying to think of other ingredient. Caffeine. Woo, that is my go-to. Either caffeine or a good caffeine peptide is a go-to for under eye circles and under eye bags and dark circles for melanated rich skin. It works. It helps. Absolutely love it. And I'm just waiting for someone to come to this lab and ask for an under eye product, because we have so many different types of caffeine ingredients that
Can you make it, please?
yes.
Listen, the struggle is real with the eye creams. Like, we need a miracle. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. It's so powerful. It's super, super powerful. And even with like from a hair care side, I would say definitely like flaxseed oil, flaxseed extracts that we have used in the laboratory is great for coily curly hair. Oh my gosh, it is amazing for coily curly hair. And I love a good gentle surfactant when it comes to skincare as well. So like I said, that shea butter derivative, some mild, gentle cleansing agents. I'm trying to think of another cleansing agent Babasul surfactant based ingredient is great for melanated rich skin, because again, just the gentleness. It doesn't feel like it's stripping. It's still putting those natural oils back into the skin from the Babasul oil. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Look, I'm ready to start formulating now again.
Ready for you too. I'm gonna start with that eye cream.
Yeah.
But for the people that don't know what surfactant is, this is the cleansing agent, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
The cleansing agent. Yeah.
What I heard from everything that you just said, first off, was great info, but most off, I heard trust. So this puts consumers, melanated rich consumers, I think the awareness now is I heard trust, which is who's formulating my stuff and who cares enough about me
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that this is not going to be harmful, have adverse effects,
Right.
dry me out, do the opposite of really what we're trying to do here. Just because a raw material or person or a researcher found something and they think they can sell it.
Right.
And you're not taking wooden nickels with that. You're actually taking studies and research that come behind those chemicals and those ingredients. And I tell you what, like that kind of changes the game. If somebody hears this conversation, it makes you look at things differently. And it this is where like the indie brands, or even if you personally work with big brands or whatever, it makes you look at things differently
Yes.
when it comes time to what it is you want to buy.
Right. Right.
And it's almost nice, when people make music, they give credit to the producer. They need to give credit to who's the chemist. Can we research who actually made this? Not the person that bought the formula that's not in the lab cooking.
Mm-hmm.
So you brought a lot of things to light just by answering that question. And also, I love how you pointed out your favorite ingredient. So now people can start looking for those things.
Yes.
But the caffeine eye cream, listen. Sleep has become hard these days. And some
No.
people, hereditarily have like dark eyes, tired looking
Mm-hmm.
eyes. Like that's just
Yes.
part of it. We're in traffic all day, the
Mm-hmm.
pollution, etc. So, hey, I say make it and sell it at this point, even if nobody comes in and asks for it.
Right. Right. Right.
Right? Uh, Okay, Cynthia. So through BWICC and your formulation studio, you bring students, founders, and future chemists into a real lab. Why is that hands on access so important? And what do you hope a young person carries out of your lab?
Yeah, so first, BWICC, for those of you who do not know about BWICC, that is Black Women in Cosmetic Chemistry. That is a new nonprofit organization that myself and 7 other cosmetic chemists, product developers, brand founders have come together to form. We met in 2020 as a group and we said we have to do something for Black women in cosmetic chemistry. I mean, there's already, Society of Cosmetic Chemists, there's the CEW group, and there's like a whole bunch of other types of nonprofit organizations. And we felt like we needed a space as well. And I believe there's like a Chinese Society of Cosmetic Chemists, which I think is amazing. It's phenomenal because we know K beauty is something, okay? So
Yes.
we definitely needed something for Black women in this space. So with Black Women in Cosmetic Chemistry, I mean, we had our first in-person laboratory event back in February as a part of, excuse me, as a part of our Black History initiative, Black History event, really learning more about different hair care ingredients that are out there and actually working inside of one of our trusted raw material suppliers laboratory. And of course, I've formulated or formed the Formulation Studio. And the Formulation Studio actually came from the expo that I hosted last year for the Cindy J Expo Beauty and Tech and Manufacturing. And we had a separate area, separate space for people to make their own products and really be a cosmetic chemist for the day. And then that transitioned into its own event that we had back in March. And that's where people came in, they created their own hair care product, of course, under the direction of an educator. And of course, we're looking to have more out there. And I really think that having that hands-on laboratory work not only puts you, in a lab coat, it not only puts you in a lab coat where you are a cosmetic chemist for the day, but you also get to understand the cosmetic science or the science behind your favorite products or your favorite cosmetics. I mean, we receive testimonials from different clients or different attendees who are not even chemists that said, thank you so much for really hosting this because I had no idea that this is how you create a product or no idea how you create a gel or a curl cream. And to have that accessibility piece is really what's important for our community. We see things on Google, we see things on YouTube, and we may see the reels that are people are creating products, but to actually put yourself in the laboratory and make your own product and understand the science behind it, the ingredient education behind it is so much more powerful, so much more powerful than money. to have that education, you can go out and make your own product and maybe come back to Cindy J and say, hey, did I make this right? I remember we did this at the Formulation Studio, but did I make this right? And it's a great product. So as cosmetic chemists, I definitely think we need to do more for our community. Do more in a sense of that accessibility. We can't gatekeep. We're not, the world is changing. A lot of chemists have done that in the past where they would gatekeep a lot of information. And not gatekeeping doesn't mean you just give everybody free information, but you give enough to really intrigue people to want to work with you even more, so that way they can be a little bit more intimate with you and actually have a networking relationship with you. And people trust people. People invest in people. And if you are just stuck behind the bench or stuck behind the computer and you're really not giving back to your community, then people are gonna say, well, what have you done for me, for someone that looks like me? We both look alike, so how can you help me get to the next level? And that is something that I instill in my values: that community, accessibility, and also innovation.
I love that. I love that. And the Cindy J Expo, when is the date? And then also, who are the best people to attend this expo?
Yes, so I'm so glad you talked about this. You started talking about the expo because we are making it bigger and better than the first and second year. So the Cindy J Expo, this will be our third annual expo, October 3rd in Baltimore, Maryland. And we will be at a new facility. It's called the 4MLK facility in Baltimore. It was actually just built in 2024, so it's very, very new. And we're going to have two floors. Our first floor is our artistry floor. The artistry floor is where the vendors are going to be. We're going to have vendors, like local vendors, out of state vendors, come in so they can sell their own products to the general public. And then we'll have like different beauty activation spaces so people can get a little bit more education on maybe hair care or skincare. And then you have the second floor, which is the innovation floor. That is where our speakers are going to be, our panelists. Our formulation studio is going to be held there as well. And with this, we are inviting beauty professionals mainly. The theme is called Where Artistry Meets Formulation. We understand that cosmetic science has to bridge the gap between beauty professionals and the real world. So with beauty professionals, I meet with a lot of beauty professionals every month, and it's always the same pain point. I want to understand the science behind products. I want to be able to understand, what it takes to make a product, so I can communicate that to my clients. But also, we as cosmetic chemists have to work with beauty professionals because they know the pain points of consumers. So if they know the pain points and they relay that message to us, we can create better products. So we thought to ourselves, why not just have the expo really tailored towards our beauty professionals out there? So hairstylists, estheticians, barbers, nail techs, makeup artists, and a lot of our speakers will have that background as well. So beauty professionals, cosmetic chemists, brand founders for sure, and also students. We want to make sure we are, again, giving back to our students. We need our students to learn more about the industry so they can become better chemists as well in the future.
That is excellent. That sounds exciting. You said it's your third year and it sounds like it has grown. Now you're on two whole floors. Like
Right.
that's bananas. And how can somebody find out information on how to get to this expo? I know you said it's in Baltimore. Is there a link to this?
Yeah, so we are going to be dropping our event flyer and ticket link in a couple of weeks. And but you can follow the expo page. It's the Cindy J Expo on Instagram. And then also when you go to my website at Cindy J Labs, you'll also see the link for the Cindy J Expo at the top right corner, and you'll be able to follow everything Expo on the website, but mainly it's the Cindy J Expo on Instagram.
Now, do you have all of your vendors already? Are you still looking for more people?
Let me tell you, we had an influx of vendors. I don't even know if we're even going to advertise this year for vendors because, oh my gosh, I believe we had 49. I don't know if we hit 50 yet. I think it was 48 or 49. I have to check. I feel like we're at 50, but 50 applications. So what we're going to do is we're going to reach out to each vendor individually, send them a vendor's page link, and they can choose which one they want to go with as far as either a 1 table or 2 table spot. And oh my gosh, if we get all 50, that's going to be bananas, nuts.
That's exciting. I mean, for somebody that's coming in and looking for info, like that is wealthy for them to
Yes,
walk into there and have more than likely 50. I mean, it's still not even October yet. You still might
right.
have more applications rolling in. So that
Right.
is a very rich event.
Thank
You
you.
know,
Mhm.
all of that knowledge and all of those industries in there.
Yes.
And you said you're going to have, let me recall. So you got some manufacturers coming in. You have
Mhm.
chemists, you have brand founders, you have what else? What else do you have that are going to be the vendors so that
Yeah,
people
so
know what they're going to see?
yeah, so we have other industry type of vendors, so like healthcare, beauty
Hmm.
healthcare. We have fashion, so clothing, jewelry, things like that. Mainly hair care, skincare products for people, of course, to sell. And also, we did reach out to a few schools, universities to see if they would like to get involved with the expo. And then again, we'll have that mix of beauty activation spaces. So when people come in through that floor, they don't always have to buy from every single vendor. Let's say you do purchase something from a vendor but you don't want to leave, there's beauty activation spaces for people to be a part of as well.
That's awesome. I
Mhm.
love it. I know at the last expo, I was able to come. I had a blast. I learned a lot. I did meet some really great people. Another thing I was really impressed with was I believe there was like some grant money that was given to
Yes.
us. And
Oh.
so I think that's amazing.
Mhm.
People that are new to the Cindy J Expo now know that they have an opportunity in the future that could one day be them, right?
Right, right.
So I love
Yes.
that.
Yes. Yeah. Last year we gave away $2,500 in grant money across 3 vendors. So when you become a vendor for Cindy J, once you pay for your spot, you automatically get invited to submit your application for the grant.
Wow, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Cynthia, this has been amazing. I
Yes.
really appreciate you.
Oh, of course.
This was, I can't even describe the amount of information that was conveyed. So I appreciate it.